Heidi-ho! I actually have a face on, can you believe it? So in an attempt to make up for all the lost years that I have been in and out of YouTube, I am going to make it my fervent effort to update you guys on as much as I possibly can in terms of my life. So if you're interested and you want to go along for the ride and learn more about me, then fantastic. And if not, then I have no idea why you're watching this. But I told a co-worker of mine that I would make a video log tonight, and that is exactly what I am doing. So let me go ahead and just start off by saying I wanted to thank all of you who left comments and those of you who have been watching me for years, months, weeks, days, hours, whatever the case may be. It means so very much to me that I still have a fan base, and that even though I've been absent quite a bit in terms of what I used to do versus what I do now, it's nice to know that many of you still look to my videos for sorts of inspiration or hopefully to come in here and laugh a little bit. I don't know what keeps you coming to me, but I'm so glad that you do. Because as I said in my last video, I'm hopefully going to use my personal story as a way to propel my career a little bit further in terms of helping people and reaching out and being the best person that I possibly can be and helping other people to realize that they can as well. So in my effort to do that, and you'll have to forgive me for making a face, I have boiling water on the stove. Why I would do that is beyond me. I'm making spaghetti this evening, and the water takes a little bit of time to boil, and I figure about like 12 or 15 minutes I'll be done yammering on. But who knows, maybe my kitchen's on fire and I just don't know it. Something always goes awry in my videos, as my coworker definitely pointed out. First order of business is for me to ask those of you who have watched a lot of my videos in the past, and this is going to sound really conceited, but my coworker just got me thinking about it. What is the one blooper or mishap that happened during one of my videos, whether it was a tutorial or a video log, that stood out in your mind? The one for me, well, there's actually two, and then I'll tell the two that my coworker always talks about. One of them was I was using a MAC transparent teal reflex glitter, and I don't know what video it was, but at some point during the video, the teal tipped, and I was really upset that the glitter got all over the place, and then it started to fly into the air, and I shaved recently, so armpit is the new sex. And I remember being distracted by all of the beautiful glitter, and hey, Mom, bad. I probably should have made my bed. I'm normally really great at making my bed, but of course, I could not be bothered this morning. So that was one that stuck out in my mind. And then the other one was when I think I was applying mascara. And this has been like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5. So I have no idea which video it is. But I remember there was a maintenance man working outside. And I remember like seeing his shadow and being like, oh my God, there is definitely someone outside of my window. That's bizarre / horrific or something like that. I pretty much say the same stuff and just recycle it year after year. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but I do. So those were the two that stuck out to me. And then my coworker loved, and I know this video, because I remember it happening specifically with this video, with the Rumble Bumble eyes, part 3 of the video. I am putting a rhinestone on my lip, and I make the comment, it gives a new meaning to the term lip gloss, because I had just done something where I applied lip gloss and then used like duo adhesive and put a rhinestone on my lip, upper and lower. And then the fire alarm went off. And it's just this resounding like, it sounds like a dying cat. And of course I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to push through this and you're annoying me, so let's just end the video right here, right now. And then the other one, which I have not seen, so I don't recollect it, is she told me that there was this one video where I'm talking, and apparently my phone keeps vibrating or going off, and I'm getting really irritated, and I should have just silenced my phone. I think it was back when I had my Sidekick, and it always vibrated for something, anything. Nothing at all. Oh, excuse me. God almighty, that was so burly, man. But But, okay, so that's my question for you guys. What is the one mishap or blooper or thing that I said in a past video that just stuck out in your mind and always makes you reminds you that I'm crazy? Because the last video I did, I said out of weight when I definitely meant to say out of shape. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was totally serious. Do you like my cleavage? I'm about to, like, bust on out of here, so forgive me. I've worn this top many times before. Oh, look at my furcal. I'm sorry, I'm being highly inappropriate. This might end up on Ellen. But, okay. So, now that I've gotten 5+ minutes into it, I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about my childhood. I think in my vlogs, I'll talk about my day or something that I've learned, and then I'm going to try to give you guys a little bit more insight to what makes me, me. Because I talk a lot about things in videos that if you're new, you don't really understand unless you've watched the videos. And my God, I have like over 500 videos somewhere in cyberspace. And so it would be unrealistic for me to expect you guys to watch all of those videos to figure out who the Froth Maddie Fran is, where I get that nickname, things like that. So, and then I want you guys to feel like you can, in the comments section, ask me questions. And it's almost like the Dear Matthew thing, but I'll just randomly answer questions that you have in regards to me or my life. And don't be afraid to ask different personal questions. I'm going to try to get to you guys on a whole different level. I'm trying something new. I'm trying to be truly very open and honest. And there will be questions that I might not have an answer to or will not answer to because it might put my life in jeopardy or something. But I will do my best to answer any and all questions that you have. So just put them down below and we'll go forward from there. But in terms of my childhood, many of you might know I lost my parents and my grandmother at a very young age. By the time I was 9, my father, my mother, and my grandmother had all passed away. And I had a brother as well, but he wasn't born, or he was born before I was, and I never got the chance to meet him. I sometimes feel like when people ask if I'm an only child and I say yes, if I'm lying, because I was raised as an only child, but I do have a brother and I don't ever want to forget him. His story and why he's not around is really, really traumatic, and I will definitely talk about that in another video. But it's all about me right now. I have no idea why I did that. I just felt like doing it. So, I was always pretty much raised by my grandfather, Diddy. Many of you know. He later got that nickname. I was in my teens when he got the name Diddy. But up until Diddy, I always called him Dad because he really was my dad. He had just retired and moved to Alabama, where I'm from, and this was shortly after my brother had passed away, and my mother and my father were not doing very well emotionally. And so my grandparents said, these were my mom's parents, they said, why don't you come down to Alabama and we'll take care of you and Matthew. So we moved down there, and my father, my real father, and biological, excuse me, and my biological mother and I, they tried to live separately. I was still very, very young. And I just remember, I always remember my life in the house with my grandparents and when my mother was there. I do remember a period when I lived at my parents' house. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get confusing. I know I have a tendency to ramble, but I'm trying to really have a point and stick to it and be concise. But that period was neither here nor there. I was a little hellion, I guess, because I think even at a young age I could sense there was something different, maybe bizarre, about my upbringing. I don't recall my parents really ever fighting, but I do recall being disturbed by whatever it was that I was surrounded by and doing things in an effort to get them to pay attention to me. I remember watching Court TV one day, and one of the people was talking about how the other person took an iron and lit it and set it on the floor to make burn marks. And there were, of course, triangular burn marks all over. For whatever reason, I decided to do that very same thing. And I did it to our living room. I took mustard and ketchup and I sprayed it all over the walls. I took eggs and I broke them on the kitchen floor. I was really acting out. And I never thought of myself as that kind of person. And I don't remember why I did, but I just remember doing it. And so living with my grandparents, my grandmother was nonsensical. She had no time for that. In the words of another coworker, she had no time for nonsense. Or is that the saying? She has no time. She cannot be bothered with nonsense. I can't remember. Anyway, if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, so she really could not be bothered with anything. So whenever I acted out, Matthew, I loved how she would say so sweet. She was very weak. She carried an oxygen tank. She had emphysema and cancer, and so she was very, very weak all the time, but she was not weak enough to give me the switch. Matthew, why'd you go outside and pick a switch for me, okay? She's this real cute Southern lady from Alabama. And she always made me get a switch. And she would just beat the shiitake out of my butt. And I remember this one time, my cousin and I were walking into our grandparents' bedroom. And I remember my cousin going, "Turn on the damn light." She was 4. I was 8. So I ran out to the living room being like, "Oh, woo, woo. So-and-so just said a bad word." And my grandmother, being very smart, was like, "Well, Matthew, what did she say?" And I said, "Grandma, she said to turn on the damn light." My grandmother goes, "Well, Matthew, I didn't hear her say it, but I certainly heard you say it. Go get a switch from outside." I was like, "No, Grandma, no, she really said it." "No, ma'am, no, sir." Sorry, I'm the no ma'amer. I was like, "No, Grandma, please don't do anything else." And she goes, "Okay, go get some soap from the bathroom." So she made me wash my mouth out with soap, thus producing my ever-loving desire and taste for Starburst. I don't know if you guys knew this. I love Starburst, and it's because of that very night. Because after I washed my mouth out with soap to rid myself of the impurity of the word damn, I had to find something to get my taste buds back, and Starburst did the trick. They tasted nasty at first, but I kept on chopping on the orange and the pink ones, and that's why they're my favorite. My childhood was, as you can tell, a little crazy, but whose isn't, honestly. But I do remember feeling a sense of isolation from all of my other friends and my classmates because I was one of the only children that I know of growing up. And I went to a small private Catholic school where I didn't have a father. I lost my mother, and I was being raised by my grandfather at that point. And there was always something going on. I was always aware of death. I knew what death was from an early age. And not that that's a bad thing, but it was scary. It was scary for me because I realized that at any age, you can go. And it doesn't matter who you are or why you do the things you do, that at any moment, somebody that you love and care about can be taken away from you. And so I remember going to counseling prior to my grandmother and mother passing away, trying to deal with some of these issues. And I'm glad that I went, although I don't recall many of the sessions. I do remember going, and my grandfather would always take me to Shoney's afterwards to eat. That was like my ish. I loved Shoney's. I loved their chicken fingers and fries with honey mustard and ketchup on the side. It was always such a fun time for me. I loved going to guidance counseling because I knew as soon as I was done, I was going to get to go and eat with my grandfather. And we always played this game where I would say, I have a number 1 through 100, try to guess it. And he would guess it, and I would tell him higher, lower, whatever, until he got it, and then he would do it to me until our food came. And it was always so much fun. I mean, it's sad that I had to go to counseling because of all of that, but I was glad. I am glad that I had that bonding experience more so with my grandfather throughout all that time. But, yeah, there's so many memories. I guess I can't really condense my childhood into this one video, especially because I keep going off on tangents. But I have to say that looking back, I'm really appreciative of the way that I was raised. I was always raised to have respect for those, even if they don't have respect for you, to look at the world with an open mind and to let people in as much as I wanted to and be there for people, and learning to trust yourself above all else, because my grandfather used to always tell me there's only one person in the world you can trust, and that's yourself. And it's so true when you really think about it. We'd like to believe that we can trust our best friend, our sister, brother, mother, aunt, whatever, But at the end of the day, you're the one who thinks for yourself, and you put one foot in front of the other. So you know the choices that you're going to make. You might not always know the outcome, but you know what you should do, or you should have an idea of what you should do in order to fix a situation or make or break a deal. And I think that I got a bigger sense of that, not in my childhood. My grandfather used to always tell me, don't sweat the little shit. Excuse my language, but that's always what he would say. Don't sweat the little shit, Matthew, God damn it! And it's so true. Don't sweat it. And you don't have to say GD, and I apologize if I offended anybody with that, but that was Diddy. I love that man. Oh my God, I miss him so much. And I know that many of you know that I've talked about him in videos, and I'll continue talking about him. He was just such a wonderful person to me. He really saved my life. He picked up the pieces in a way that nobody else could have, and I'll always be thankful, and I look forward to the day when I'm reunited with him. But until then, I'll just talk about him and think about him and dream. And in my dream, hopefully just have an everyday occurrence with him where we're just as we were. But my whole reason for just opening up and telling you guys a little bit more about that, and I'll get into more, I don't know why, but a lot of people always ask, when did you know you were gay? And I've talked about it before, but I'll talk about it again, and maybe I'll go into more of like gay issues and how I got into makeup and why I'm a virgin and don't drink and all that stuff. But in this video, I just wanted to give you guys a little brief 16-minute video of a little bit of my childhood. I probably really should write it. I should write a book, and I've talked about it in the past. My relatives think I need to. It's just hard. I rarely find the time. I rarely, make the time to sit down and start writing. I started keeping a journal, and then I couldn't be bothered. I just stopped. Video logs work better for me. I don't know what it is. I don't care whether I'm feeling like crap or fat or super thin and contoured and Kim K. It doesn't matter. It's just fun for me to be able just to talk and not be so concise with my words. To not know what I'm going to talk about fully until I start talking about it. That's just always been my way. I want people to find me engaging, and I want them to think that I'm entertaining and, above all else, educational and hopefully inspiring. I would like to be a role model, and I have a lot of downfalls. I curse probably when I shouldn't. I sometimes dress provocatively or wear too many skin-tight clothing when definitely if you have the shape of the Michelin Man, you should not. I'm gay. I wear makeup. You know, there's a lot of things that is off-putting about me to some people, but that's okay because at the end of the day, I am myself and I don't want to change for anybody else. I want to better myself for me, and hopefully that'll affect the world in a more positive way. You're going to hear me say the word positive a lot because that's just my big thing right now. I've been through a lot of ups and downs just like anybody else has, and some people are fortunate enough to pull through. And some people are ass kickers and they just fight for their life. And then some people slowly start to give up. And there was a time period when I was doing the latter. I just wanted to be done. I was over life. I wanted to start my new one. But I'm really happy with my life right now. And I definitely, and this is so cliche, I wouldn't be the person that I am today without having had what happened in the past happen. That's not a really great way of saying it, but you get my point. So I hope that my childhood, my adulthood, my teenage years, all of that can condense into one fine young man or woman, depending on the day, and allow me to help other people. There's so much that I want to do and so much that I want to get out there and spread love, and not in a contrived or fake way. I just want to be real. And if you love me one minute and hate me the next, that's okay. I'm the same way. I love me one minute and hate me the next. I hate that my hair is falling out. Makes me sad. But that's okay. Like I said, that's what a good wig is for. Lace front, love it, itch. Okay, well, I've talked for nearly 20 minutes, and that's that. So just to remind you guys, put in the comments anything that you might have a question of. And then also, if you'll just tell me what your favorite Matthew Francis blooper was, that would be great. P.S. You can call me Maddie Fran, you can call me Matthew Francis, or you can just simply call me Matthew. Matthew Francis is definitely my stage name, and it's only part of who I am. Some of my true friends can tell the difference between me, Matthew, and Matthew Francis, and I'm trying to be able to give you guys a little bit more of Matthew. So hopefully you'll appreciate that and stick around and see what happens. Who knows, maybe I'll end up on Ellen, or maybe I'll do vlogs until YouTube shuts down in the year 2050. They've got something new, like boob tubes. That'd be perfect. Okay, good night, and make good choices.